Welcome back to Law Coins World. Washington quarter $1966 coin. Have you ever tossed a quarter into a vending machine without giving it a second thought? What if that ordinary-looking coin in your pocket was hiding a secret that collectors have been chasing for years? Some coins are valuable because only a few are made, while others become treasures because of rare errors, exceptional condition, or fascinating history. Today, we're taking a close look at one of the most interesting modern American quarters ever produced, the 1966 Washington quarter. At first glance, it looks like just another 25-cent coin, but once you understand its story, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Stay with me until the very end because we'll uncover its history, design, rare varieties, valuable errors, and the prices that some collectors have been willing to pay. You might even discover that a coin sitting unnoticed on a drawer or a coin jar could be worth much more than its face value. 1966 Washington quarter. The 1966 Washington quarter was produced during one of the most unusual periods in United States coinage history. In the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint faced a nationwide coin shortage. Millions of coins were disappearing from circulation because people believed older silver coins would become more valuable in the future. As collectors and investors began saving coins instead of spending them, the government struggled to keep enough change in circulation for everyday commerce. To help solve this problem, the United States Mint made an important decision. Beginning in 1965, mint marks were temporarily removed from circulating coins. This meant that the 1966 Washington quarter carries no mint mark, even though it was produced at different mint facilities. The government hoped that removing mint marks would discourage collectors from hoarding newly minted coins based on where they were made. Today, this makes the 1966 quarter unique because every genuine example lacks a mint mark beneath the date. The coin features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. Washington faces left, surrounded by the words Liberty at the top and In God We Trust to the left, while the date 1966 appears below. On the reverse, an impressive American eagle spreads its wings while perched on a bundle of arrows surrounded by olive branches, symbolizing both military strength and peace. Above the eagle appears United States of America, with the pluribus unum displayed above its head in $quarter along the bottom. Unlike Washington quarters minted before 1965, the 1966 quarter contains no silver. After the Coinage Act of 1965, rising silver prices forced the government to replace the traditional 90% silver composition with a copper-nickel-clad design. The new quarter consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper and nickel. It weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. Although it looks silver in color, its metallic composition is completely different from earlier silver quarters. More than 821 million 1966 Washington quarters were struck, making it one of the highest mintage quarters of its era. Because so many were produced, circulated examples are usually worth only face value. However, that doesn't mean every 1966 quarter is common. Collectors know that condition can make an enormous difference in value. Most 1966 quarters entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. They were used for shopping, public transportation, vending machines, parking meters, and countless everyday transactions. Over decades of use, these coins developed scratches, worn details, and dull surfaces. Finding one that escaped circulation in nearly perfect condition has become surprisingly difficult. Uncirculated examples displaying strong mint luster and minimal contact marks often sell for several dollars. Coins graded Mint State 65 or Mint State 66 are much scarcer than most people realize because quarters were stored in large canvas bags where they struck one another before ever reaching banks. Those small impacts left tiny marks that reduced their grades. When collectors search for the finest known examples, prices rise dramatically. Coins certified as Mint State 67 by respected grading companies can sell for hundreds of dollars depending on eye appeal and market demand. Even higher grades become exceptionally rare because almost every surviving coin has at least a few imperfections visible under magnification. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1966 Washington quarter is the possibility of mint errors. These mistakes occurred during production and created coins unlike ordinary examples. Genuine mint errors are highly collectible because each one tells the story of something unusual happening inside the mint. One popular error is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank blanket is not correctly positioned between the dies before being struck. As a result, part of the design is missing while the remaining image shifts toward one side. The greater the percentage of the off-center strike, the more dramatic the appearance. If the date remains visible, these errors often command impressive premiums. Another fascinating error is the broad strike. Normally, a collar surrounds the coin during striking to create its proper diameter and real edge. If the collar fails, the coin expands beyond its normal size, producing a broader and flatter appearance with little or no defined rim. Broad strike quarters are easy to recognize and remain popular among error collectors. Double strike quarters are another remarkable discovery. These occur when a coin receives two strikes instead of one. The second strike may be rotated or slightly shifted, creating overlapping designs that are instantly noticeable. Dramatic double strikes can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their appearance and overall condition. Collectors also search for clipped blanket errors. Before coins are struck, round blanks are punched from large sheets of metal. Occasionally, the punching process overlaps an existing hole, leaving part of the blank missing. After striking, the finished quarter has a curved section missing from its edge. Genuine clipped blankets are authenticated by specialists because damaged coins can sometimes resemble mint errors. Die cracks are another collectible variety. As minting dies wear out, tiny fractures develop in the hardened steel. During striking, metal flows into these cracks, leaving raised lines across the coin surface. Some die cracks are small and subtle, while others stretch dramatically across major design elements. Large die cracks generally attract stronger collector interest. Even more dramatic are cud errors. A cud forms when a piece of the die breaks away completely, allowing metal to flow into the missing section during striking. The finished coin displays a large raised blob connected to the rim. These unusual errors are among the most visually striking varieties produced by damaged dies. Collectors should also examine every 1966 quarter for doubling. While machine doubling is relatively common and usually adds little value, a true double die variety results from an error during die production. Genuine double dies display clear separation in letters, numbers, or design details and can become highly valuable when officially recognized. The strike quality of the 1966 Washington quarter varies considerably. Some examples display soft details in Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers, while others show exceptionally crisp definition. Strongly struck coins with full detail are always more desirable because they better represent the original artistry of the design. Original mint luster is another critical factor in determining value. Freshly struck coins exhibit a brilliant cartwheel effect that moves across the surface when tilted under light. Once a coin begins circulating, friction gradually removes this luster. Collectors strongly prefer coins with untouched surfaces because they preserve the coin's original appearance. If you think you've discovered an exceptional 1966 quarter, resist the temptation to clean it. Cleaning almost always reduces a coin's value. Even soft cloths or household cleaners create microscopic scratches that grading professionals immediately recognize. Natural toning and original surfaces are far more desirable than an artificially polished appearance. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC authenticate coins, assign standardized grades, and seal them in protective holders. Certification provides confidence for both buyers and sellers, especially when dealing with valuable high-grade examples or unusual mint errors. Many collectors continue searching bank rolls, estate collections, old piggy banks, and forgotten coin jars for outstanding 1966 quarters. Although most examples are common, every search carries the possibility of discovering an overlooked gem. Some remarkable coins have spent decades unnoticed before finally being recognized for their rarity and quality. The 1966 Washington quarter reminds us that a high mintage does not necessarily mean every surviving coin is ordinary. Exceptional condition, rare mint errors, and outstanding eye appeal can't transform an everyday quarter into a valuable collectible. That's exactly what makes coin collecting so exciting, as sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight. So the next time you receive change from a store, don't rush to spend every quarter without taking a closer look. Examine the date carefully. Notice the missing mint mark, inspect the surfaces for brilliant luster, and search for unusual errors that set one coin apart from millions of others. You never know when an ordinary-looking 1966 Washington quarter could become the most exciting discovery in your collection. For collectors, history isn't only found in museums, it can be hiding in your pocket, waiting for someone curious enough to notice its true value. Have you ever looked at an ordinary 1987 Washington quarter and thought it was worth only 25 cents? Most people do. Millions of these coins pass through cash registers, vending machines, and pocket change every year without anyone giving them a second glance. But what if one of these seemingly common quarters could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of a tiny detail that almost nobody notices? Today, we're uncovering the fascinating story of the 1987 Washington quarter, a coin that many collectors once ignored but has become one of the most searched modern quarters in the hobby. Stay with me until the end because we'll explore the history, the hidden features, the rare errors, and the values that could completely change the way you look at your spare change. If you enjoy discovering valuable coins hiding in plain sight, you're in the right place. 1987 Washington quarter. The 1987 Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when the United States was producing billions of circulating coins every year. At first glance, this coin doesn't appear special. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, designed by John Flanagan, while the reverse displays the majestic American eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows and olive branches. The D mint mark beneath the date tells us that the coin was produced in Denver. Although over 655 million 1987 D quarters were minted, high-quality examples are surprisingly difficult to find today. Why? Because nearly all of them entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. These quarters were used for everyday purchases, dropped onto parking meters, carried in wallets, and spent countless times over the years. As a result, finding one with a flawless surface has become much harder than most people imagine. The 1987 D Washington quarter is made from a copper core surrounded by layers of copper nickel, giving it the familiar silver appearance despite containing no actual silver. It weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge with 119 tiny grooves. While these specifications are standard for modern quarters, collectors pay close attention to coins that perfectly match these measurements and still retain their original mint luster. One of the biggest reasons collectors search for the 1987 D quarter is condition. A coin that has circulated for years might only be worth its face value. However, an uncirculated example showing no wear can already command a premium. Coins certified in Mint State 65 or Mint State 66 often sell for several dollars to several dozen dollars depending on eye appeal and market demand. Things become much more exciting when we reach the highest grading levels. A certified Mint State 67 example can be worth hundreds of dollars because so few survive without noticeable contact marks. Every tiny scratch, bag mark, or fingerprint lowers a coin's grade. Since quarters were transported in large bags immediately after striking, they frequently hit one another, creating small dents that prevent them from achieving the highest grades. Even more valuable are examples graded Mint State 68. These coins are incredibly rare because they must display nearly perfect surfaces, blazing mint luster, sharp details, and exceptional eye appeal. Some of these top-grade coins have sold for well over $1,000 at major auctions. That enormous price difference shows why collectors carefully inspect every 1987 D quarter they find. But condition is only part of the story. Error coins are what truly capture the imagination of collectors. During the minting process, mistakes occasionally occur. creating coins unlike any others. These errors are genuine mint mistakes and often become some of the most valuable examples of a particular date. One popular error is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank coin isn't properly positioned between the dies before being struck. Instead of a perfectly centered design, part of the image is missing while the remaining design shifts toward one side. The value depends on how dramatic the error is and whether the date remains visible. Large off-center strikes with a readable date can bring impressive prices. Another sought-after error is the broad strike. In this case, the retaining collar fails to hold the coin during striking. Without the collar, the metal spreads outward, creating a larger than normal coin with no defined rim. Broad strike quarters immediately stand out because they appear wider and flatter than regular examples. Collectors also search for double strikes. If a coin fails to eject after the first strike and receives another strike, the result can be overlapping designs or shifted images. Dramatic double-struck quarters are highly collectible and can command substantial premiums depending on the appearance of the error. A clipped plankett is another fascinating mistake. Before striking, large sheets of metal are punched into circular blanks. Occasionally, the punching process overlaps an existing hole, leaving part of the blank missing. After striking, the finished coin has a distinctive curved section absent from its edge. Genuine clipped plankett errors are carefully authenticated because damaged coins are sometimes mistaken for mint errors. Die cracks are also worth watching for. Over time, the steel dies used to strike coins develop tiny fractures. As metal flows into these cracks during striking, raised lines appear on the finished coin. Small die cracks usually add modest value, while dramatic examples stretching across major parts of the design can attract stronger collector interest. Another unusual error involves die breaks. If a larger section of the die breaks away, the affected area on the coin appears as a raised blob of metal. These are sometimes called cuts by collectors. Large cut errors are dramatic and highly desirable because they clearly show the effects of a damaged die during production. Some collectors specifically hunt for coins with doubled dies. Unlike machine doubling, which generally adds little value, a true double die occurs during die creation. Certain letters, numbers, or design elements appear doubled under magnification. While major double dies for the 1987D quarter are uncommon, any verified double die variety receives significant attention from specialists. The strike quality of the 1987D quarter is another important factor. Denver-produced quarters from this era sometimes show weaker details, especially around Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers. Coins displaying exceptionally sharp strikes stand out among thousands of average examples and often receive stronger grades from professional grading services. Luster also plays a major role in determining value. Original mint luster creates a bright cartwheel effect that moves across the coin when tilted under light. Once a coin circulates, this luster gradually disappears through everyday wear. Collectors strongly prefer coins with untouched, original surfaces because they represent the coin exactly as it left the mint. If you believe you've found a valuable 1987D quarter, never clean it. Cleaning may seem like a good idea, but it almost always reduces a coin's value. Even gentle polishing leaves microscopic scratches that experienced collectors and grading experts can easily detect. A naturally toned coin is generally worth much more than one that has been cleaned. Professional grading companies such as PCGS and NGC authenticate coins, assign official grades, and encapsulate them in protective holders. Certification provides buyers with confidence that the coin is genuine and accurately graded. This becomes especially important when a coin appears to be a high-grade example or an unusual mint error. Many valuable coins are still discovered in circulation, bank rolls, inherited collections, and forgotten coin jars. While the chances of finding a top-grade 1987D quarter are relatively small, exciting discoveries continue to happen because countless people overlook modern coins, assuming they have no collector value. Experienced collectors recommend examining coins under a bright LED light with a 5x to 10x magnifying glass. Look carefully at the date, mint mark, lettering, rim, and overall condition. Compare any unusual features with verified examples before assuming you've discovered a rare variety. The market for modern Washington quarters has grown significantly over the past decade, as more collectors complete registry sets requiring the finest certified examples. Competition for top-grade coins has intensified. This increased demand has pushed auction prices higher for the very best surviving specimens. The 1987 Washington quarter reminds us that rarity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes, true rarity comes from exceptional preservation. Although hundreds of millions were produced, only a tiny fraction remain in nearly perfect condition today. Those surviving examples have become prized collectibles that demonstrate how quality can be just as important as quantity. The next time you receive change from a store or empty the coins from your pocket, don't overlook the humble 1987 Washington quarter. Examine it carefully. Look for sharp details, brilliant luster, unusual errors, or signs that it may have escaped decades of circulation. What appears to be an ordinary quarter could actually be a collectible treasure waiting to be discovered. Every valuable coin starts as ordinary money, and history has shown that the greatest discoveries often come from the coins people ignore. So before you spend your next quarter, take a closer look. You might just uncover the hidden gem that transforms 25 cents into an unforgettable collector's prize.